So please, I would like to invite on stage our moderator, Thomas. And Thomas will be inviting our guest speaker. Let's give a clap for Thomas. So Thomas, just before he gets on the stage, he's a very impressive German guy, right? But this is actually more than that. One of the person that to me is the most knowledgeable in the energy sector in this country. Having been joining Enapter, one of the largest hydrogen producer company, listed company in Germany, who actually started in Thailand. And you will see like he's very knowledgeable, and I really hope you're gonna have a good time with him and his speaker. Thank you, Thomas.
Wow, thanks a lot, Joanne, and hello everyone. It's a pleasure to be allowed to moderate that energy panel here today. As Joanne has already mentioned kindly, some of you in the room may still know me from my recent position with Enapter. We started Enapter here in Thailand in 2017 as a small startup. Now we're listed at the Frankfurt Stock Exchange with a 400 million market cap, and making sure that what you had on your slide, that green hydrogen is cost competitive by 2035, will happen much earlier than that. But yeah, so in my previous life, before joining Enapter, I was working with the German development agency, a colleague of Seng's, basically on the German side of things. We have been running projects between Thailand and or Southeast Asia and Germany on fostering the uptake. At that time, it was actually solar rooftops. I still have very funny videos from 8-9 years ago where we were trying to convince people that you should put solar on your roofs. And today, if you have a roof, you know, you're really missing out if you're not putting solar on top, which is great, but there's still a long way to go. So yeah, I'm not only a hydrogen and big solar advocate, but climate change and renewables in general, and that's my background. I just wanted to share that with you. And with that, I'll move to the impressive speakers of that panel, and I'll invite as the first one to join Nitchan Piromsawat, or Nick, who's a senior investment manager and head of partnerships at PTT ExpresSo Ventures. So please give him a warm welcome and let's hear his pitch.
All right, it's a pleasure to get to introduce PTT ExpresSo to you guys today. My name is Nitchan Piromsawat, Senior Investment Manager at ExpresSo, where I lead the decarbonization vertical in our team. So who is PTT ExpresSo? ExpresSo is the CVC of PTT, which is the National Thai Oil and Gas Company, specifically the mother company. The assets that are tied to PTT are mainly the trading and the gas business units. All right, and ExpresSo has been around since 2016. We started investing. We had our first investment in 2017, and right now we've invested in 9 VC funds and 9 directly into startups. 2 of them are local Thai companies, and 7 of them are international. And we are definitely looking to invest in more startups, and we invest in anywhere around the world with a potential SEA angle, a market entry in the foreseeable future, let's say. And given that, compared to the majority of local CVCs, I would say, we have a more long-term angle, enabling us to work with startups that are without a ready-to-use product, I would say. And our investment themes are in future energy, decarbonization, and future mobility. And for decarbonization, it's namely carbon management, industrial decarbonization, and sustainable agriculture. And we also invest into life sciences, but that might be less relevant to today's crowd. We typically put in $1 to $10 million into each deal, and typically invest in Series A+. We can make exceptions for earlier rounds as well, but especially for local companies and companies with a very clear strategic angle. And examples of high priority investment areas that we are looking at right now are carbon management, carbon capture and utilization, industrial energy efficiency, next-gen energy generation, and sustainable fuels, etc. And aside from funding, we have a sizable R&D department and operations in the entire natural gas value chain that we regularly work with to set up POCs with them. So given that we are looking to work with startups in either an investment role or a partnership capacity independently, meaning that we don't need to have a partnership with you to be able to invest and vice versa. And that's it for PTT ExpresSo. We are glad to be part of the this climate coalition and glad to get to know you in much more detail later today. Thank you.
Great. Thanks a lot. That's already ticking a lot of the questions on my sheet. Next in line is Kun Wanutchaporn Na Chiengmai from Bangkok Industrial Gas, where she is the new business and technology development manager. So let's hear it from Kun Nat.
สวัสดีค่ะ So he already introduced me already, so I'm not going to repeat it, but you can call me Nat. I'm working for BIG. We have a dream to make the world more productive, energy efficient, and sustainable with infinite innovation from the air. We are part of Air Products and Chemical Inc. from the US, who is the largest, the real investment of green hydrogen in the world. And we are now a climate tech company who provides industrial gases with technology and solutions to various customers in various industries, from heavy industries such as cement, steel, oil and gas, petrochemicals, to medium and light industries, for example, electronics, automotive, food and beverage, and hospital. If you cannot imagine who we are, the simplest example in our daily life, you can imagine of oxygen you consume in hospital. But if you think more related to industry, you can think of nitrogen we use in electronics industry to get rid of electronic waste. And with our dream, we are looking for partners who share the same dreams we have, who have the technology of improving productivity, optimizing energy efficiency, and striving for sustainability. We can be both your strategic partners and also investor. With the scale of market that we have and the scope of new technology that you would have, we can be both working together to drive the speed for the industries to achieve net zero much sooner. And in the end, with scale, scope, and speed, we are winning together for driving infinite innovation to the world much faster, cheaper, and better. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kunat. And then I would like to invite on stage, has already been named before, Kun Marty Sinthavanarong. I think I butchered that, sorry, from Gulf Energy, where he is the head of international business.
Thank you, Thomas. Hi, so again, Marty from Gulf Energy Development. Gulf is a energy developer that started in 1994. We started in gas to power, but since then we have moved into renewable energy, and that's the reason that I'm here today. So renewable energy, Jean already went over that. Thank you very much. I don't have to go through that whole chart, but essentially what we want to do is build offshore wind farms globally. Okay, since going public about 4 or 5 years ago, we have projects in Germany, we have projects in Vietnam, and locally in Thailand, we won about, I believe, 2,000 megawatts of renewable energy tender that was announced earlier last month. So I just came back from Wind Europe. That's a big offshore wind energy conference in Copenhagen, Denmark. And there's a lot of opportunities to build offshore wind. We are looking globally for partners. So if you have any new technology, where this technology is going is floating offshore wind. So I just wanted to highlight a little bit about how offshore wind kind of works. So you have the fixed bottom, which looks just like a windmill. Okay, that can only go so far in the ocean because once it gets too deep, it has to be floating. Okay, if you're doing climate tech, that's the future of offshore wind, which is floating offshore wind. So that is something for everybody to consider. And in non-energy business, we are into AI, into 5G tech. So if there's anything related, please feel free to come up to me and we can discuss. We are open to all sizable opportunities for collaboration. Investment size, I just wanted to highlight that as far as offshore wind projects go, we usually look at about a 500 million euro check size. So if that's something that's interesting to you, please let me know. Thank you so much.
Sorry, it took me a while to write down the check number size. Okay, thanks a lot for that, Marty. I'm very excited to hear more about that. And last but not least, we have one startup on the stage. Very exciting to hear more from Bolong Chew, who is the CEO and founder of Solar AI. Welcome.
Thanks, Thomas. I'm really sharing the stage with giants here today. My name is Bolong. I run a startup called Solar AI Technologies. We're based in Singapore, providing a solar as a service model to residential as well as commercial property owners. So Solar AI was first initially incubated and kind of started out of NG Factory, which is a venture arm of ONG Group based out of Singapore. And ultimately, as a business, about 6 months ago, we became the first in Singapore and one of the first in the region to be able to launch a zero upfront cost solar as a service model all the way down to the residential segment. Now, this is not a model which is new globally, right? There are a lot of listed companies, SolarCity, Sunrun in the US, who started doing it more than a decade ago. But our focus is really to try and bring this into the Southeast Asian region. Rooftop solar as a product, I mean, the traditional pitch for customers has always been, say, for example, for a residential homeowner, right? Pay about $20,000 upfront, right? Generally, after about 7 or 8 years, you'll break even on your capital. And then thereafter, because your solar panels are warranted for like 25, 30 years, you'd get free electricity. But to most of us here in the region who don't really know someone else who's had a solar system for more than 2 to 3 years, it's very difficult for consumers to kind of see through that kind of time horizon and take that leap of faith. As a company with a solar as a service model, we essentially turn it around. Instead of paying upfront, we provide a fully serviced zero upfront cost model, which charges customers a flat monthly fee that is already lower than their electricity bill savings, while they are also paying off for the solar system. As a startup, when we launched this 6 months ago, at this point in time, we've signed our first 50 clients. One of the reasons why we've also started getting confidence that this is really the model which can drive solar adoption forward is, in general, our solar as a service models, while they are about a 70% price premium compared to paying upfront for a solar system, the adoption of this, putting side by side kind of an upfront purchase versus the solar as a service models are about 70%. And in the last 6 months, we've also been really focused on trying to prove out the unit economics in being able to run these solar as a service projects profitably for all financiers as well. Happy to share a lot more about this. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for the very interesting intros and reverse pitches. So maybe, yeah, we have 20 minutes to talk. I have a bunch more questions. I think what excited me to actually accept moderating that panel was that Kukai and Joanne promised to hold everybody here on the panel accountable and measure what they actually deliver on the promises today. So everybody listen up what you hear today. I think we'll hear back again from everyone in half a year. And yeah, so with that, maybe my first question to Nick, I understand you're with PTT ExpresSo, but since you're part of the large PTT group, I think I would like to hear a bit what maybe if you can get a bit more into detail on the kind of startups that you're looking for investments, and for me also very, very important, like the more macro view. How does it, what is the level of ambition? So how much money does ExpresSo actually invest? I think if I got the number right, then PTT has global revenues of north of 40 billion US dollars, if I'm not mistaken. So I'd be curious to see how much money goes into ExpresSo.
Sure. Let me answer the latter part first. So we have invested, I think, almost $100 million into all our investments ever since our inception, and we are continuously aiming to invest roughly 20 millions every year. But we hope to increase that in a very short timeline because we are pursuing a spin-off from PTT within this year. So really excited for that. And let's see how much the investment capacity will go up after that. But in more definite and near terms, we can invest $1 to $10 million within per deal. And to answer the first part of your question about like the scope and the kinds of businesses PTT invests in, since PTT as the mother company, we are less and less focused on our current assets, our day-to-day operations. It's more about creating entirely new businesses. So PTT, as opposed to other CVCs within the PTT group, I would say that we are more open to building a whole new business from scratch, whether that's a whole new value chain within the clean energy sector, or whether that's other businesses entirely within the broader decarbonization landscape, whether that's, let's say, the production of sustainable aviation fuels. We do not have existing business related to that other than traditional aviation fuels, but we are able to be the entity to invest in and build that entirely. Or even another very good example I would say is in electric vehicles. Like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I think the government has mandated PTT to be kind of the spearhead of Thailand's EV transition, and PTT had to really transform internally really fast to be able to live up to that mandate to bring Thailand's EV transformation from being an oil and gas company, but we need to really dive head into EV, which today we have made significant moves. For example, in setting up a production facility for in partnership with Foxconn for EVs in Thailand, and for ExpresSo, we also have invested in funds that are directly about future mobility, and also in a couple startups in the future mobility area directly. I can give you an example, which is Ample. It's a battery swapping startups from California, and they don't have operations in Thailand now. In fact, they only have tens of locations in only several countries. But that is an example of an investment that we can make that is super forward-looking. They have no concrete plans to move into Thailand at all, but we see that with our mission and with our ambition, we can be the ones to partner with them and bring their operations, bring their technology to Thailand and be the local scaling partner.
So would any investment you said you're relatively, so if I understand that correctly, you're relatively free from PTT on what investments you can actually make. I'm assuming you have a general direction on fields where you invest, but apart from that, you say you're not improving any existing technology, then you're building new ventures and building new companies. Is there or is there a stricter mandate, stricter guidelines that you have to follow? And maybe a second part of the question, is your modus always that you only invest in technology that can be used in Thailand, or is it independent of that?
Sure. We are also interested in investing technologies that we can use for our current business, but not as much as entirely new businesses. And as for the sorry, can you repeat parts of your question again?
Yeah, no, I was if all the investments need to be something for the Thai market, or does it have a broader angle? So thinking Southeast Asia or...
Yeah, so it does not need to be part of the Thai ecosystem, but we need to think about the strategic fit, and on like the present basis, the majority of our influence and our strategic relevance is with Thailand. So we want to look at opportunities where we know we have, let's say, an unfair advantage compared to other players in bringing those technologies to Thailand. Broadly, we look at what PT can provide in terms of competitive advantage to work with selected technology startups and together create new winning businesses in the decarbonization sector. Wow. And scope is not very clearly defined because we know that it doesn't make that much sense to define such a turbulent business right now. But we prefer to be more on our feet and study each high priority vertical one by one, and then we decide after that.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. Then maybe a question for Kun Nat. Since I'm from the hydrogen field. You do industrial gases. I need to ask a question about hydrogen, but maybe let me frame it a little broader. So industrial gases is your business. Industrial gases often have a very strong carbon footprint. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit on what is BIG's plan to reduce carbon footprint of industrial gases?
Sure. So for industrial gases, recently we have built the new plant in Thailand, the first one in Southeast Asia, to reduce the electricity consumption to produce the industrial gas 30%. So that will then reduce the CO2 footprint to our customer. And that is our goal, and we not stop, keep improving. We utilize or leverage the digital era to use it to optimize our plant operation, to further reduce the production electricity consumption to get much more lower or green industrial gases. So that's what we are currently doing.
Okay, so in the case of hydrogen, because I know that best, I think only improving processes is probably going to be difficult, right? So hydrogen is made from, currently hydrogen is being made from basically breaking up natural gas into CO2 and hydrogen, right? So if you want to provide hydrogen, you need to make it from a different source.
Correct. As BIG, we are part of Air Products. And Air Products, if you search from Google, we are the only one who make a real investment on green hydrogen, the largest one in the world. But to make it green, yes, we need a scale. So we need to select the right country to produce or to invest on the facility to have a totally green hydrogen. What do you mean totally green? So you need renewable power to generate the electricity and then use it for electrolyzer and then use it to produce the green hydrogen. And then for transportation, you also need to use hydrogen in ship or boat to ship it. So you have a totally green hydrogen chain to use in energy sector.
That's true. Unless you happen to find an electrolyzer manufacturer that makes very decentralized electrolyzers, but
like Enapter.
I'm not working for Enapter anymore, so that was not. Okay, right, thank you. And so, Marty, now every time I see you, I'm thinking about numbers that don't fit on checks anymore. But if I understand that correctly, these are investment sizes that are largely geared towards projects, right? So you're not so much focusing on, so we have the CVC here on stage. I understand that for Gulf is not so much like picking up the startups, but rather like identifying, sourcing the projects and then going into the project. So maybe you can spend a few words on that. But then also, like, what is your, I remember there was an announcement with the digital asset exchange a couple of years ago. So apparently you bring in innovation through joint ventures or partnerships. What is your vehicle to pick up technology from startups or to pick up startups into the corporate structure?
So So Gulf has two businesses. The core business is the energy business, and I'll cover that. Along what Nat said a moment ago, I'll go over hydrogen. So hydrogen is a unicorn to me because I have not seen it, and many people talk about it, and say that, yes, we have projects. I'm waiting to fly somewhere to look at one. And this is from major players in the world to smaller startups that say that they have some color of hydrogen. And yes, we want green, and we've been looking for opportunities to take a look in Europe. The friends at our U.S. Embassy have also mentioned that the U.S. will be the next boom in green hydrogen production. And we're also looking at Australia, where I'll be going in a couple weeks. So if there's something going on there, please let me know. I would love to go look at it. But if not, then we'll keep waiting. But yeah, there's a whole value chain in the hydrogen production. So there's a lot of opportunities there, from producing it to storing it, shipping it. I know I have friends that are trying to develop storage in the U.S. for hydrogen, so a lot to do there. And okay, non-energy business. So we own InTouch, and they own AIS. They also own Thaicom. We took that out, and we bought Thaicom. It's a satellite company. I suppose 5G is the next thing that we've all realized, and we partner with Binance to operate the digital trading platform. We're not going to trade in the coin, so don't start asking me about getting wallets and whatnot. I don't have anything. I have a real wallet. Okay. So things like that are what golf is interested in. It's what the digital future can bring, and we will invest in sizable opportunities. We are very flexible, and we are considering all sizable opportunities. So there's nothing set in stone that we look at. I mean, we've had funds that we invest in. We've had pitches for different techs. I will let you know that we have not invested in a battery production company. Many have come by and said they have the latest and greatest, but we will only buy the latest when we need it. So when we need for solar farms, for example, that's the opportunity that we will buy a battery, but we have not invested in a battery company. In Thailand, we also have a solar rooftop company called Golf One. So if you have anything related to that we can partner up with, that'll be something we can explore. But bottom line is we're happy to explore partnerships or investments. Just drop me a line. Thank you.
Okay, very concise. Thanks a lot. Bolong, so I want to ask you, you can basically shed some light from the other side. So I would definitely like you to elaborate a bit on the pros and cons of corporate venturing and your experiences with that. But maybe a second question, if you allow me. I'd be super interested. You mentioned in your introductory statement that solar as a service is new. In fact, that has happened in the US 10 years ago. Why is it needed to adapt the business model to Southeast Asia? Why does it take 10 years and new startups to actually make it fit? That'd be very interesting to know.
I think that's a great question. And I think my answer to the two questions are actually quite related. For a bit of background, before I started working on solar air technologies, I was first working full-time for NG Factory, which is the venture arm of ONG. At that point in time, and in general, I mean, Joanne Kukai has mentioned this earlier, I think one of the reasons why we are so excited about the space at this point in time is that there are already a lot of mature solutions within the space, right? And these are just solutions which are now better, climate focused, but then what's really needed in the region is to try and just shift adoption forward, right? Try and encourage adoption, and there's a lot of business model innovation that can be done that way. When we're looking at kind of this segment and the reason why solar as a service hasn't really taken off in the region, I mean, in the last couple of years, we've been thinking about it a lot. Ultimately, a lot of that boils down to consumer adoption in terms of awareness, in terms of understanding of the product, and then thereafter also kind of like the cost curve, right, of where rooftop solar is. Ultimately, the higher you scale, the more you're able to bring unit costs down, which then allows these solar as a service models to start to cross that threshold wherein you are able to profitably, for project financiers, right, finance a rooftop solar project, and then yet on the other end for consumers to achieve or enjoy like a lower cost of solar on a monthly basis without putting any money up front. So as a company, in the last 1 year, we've really been focused on trying to drive that forward, right? But then there's still a lot more to do in order to continuously reduce all those different pockets of unit costs in terms of how much it costs to build a solar plant, in terms of how much it costs to service customers. And so as a company, we're really like tech focused in trying to drive down all these cost levers. Yeah, I mean, I think like then the question about kind of corporate venturing, that's like a really long extended answer. I mean, but in general, like as a startup incubated under a corporate venture, of course, we see that generally, and quite a lot of your questions to Nick as well alluded to what is the strategic synergies. These are all things that we need to keep extremely at the core of how we collaborate with the corporate business, right? Because ultimately, the support that we get from the corporate should ideally stem, in my opinion, from synergies rather than just kind of like a pure financial investment. And that's really how a startup within a corporate venturing model can drive ahead the best.
Okay, I understand. So from what I hear is maybe also taking into account what Marty said is like you said you can actually invest, but you're buying the product when it is needed, right? You made critical comments about, for example, green hydrogen. Everybody's talking about, but where are actually the projects? And many of them are delayed, which I can support. That's true. So the question is a little bit. We're talking here about climate tech for Southeast Asia. Is it then correct to say that we will probably, when climate tech here is deployed, it will probably not be the top of the spear, but it will be more established technologies that have taken the time to show that they work and maybe have the business model innovation to make it fit for the market here. Are that the solutions that we're seeing? So maybe keep that question in mind, and every one of you. We have 2 minutes left, so everybody maybe has like 30 seconds. Leave the audience with the commitment or what to keep in mind from when we hear from you in 6 months. What will we be asking you about what you delivered in the next 6 months? And maybe we do the reverse order. We'll start here.
I mean, I think like as a startup, we're still a young team, but extremely ambitious. Over the last 6 months, we've managed to launch these solar as a service models to Singapore within the residential segment. Over the next 6 to 12 months, we're really focused on bringing this same model also to the small, medium commercial property owners who also don't have access to zero upfront cost offers, and then thereafter, start to expand this across the region as well.
Okay, so for us, I hope that in 6 months we can announce that we have more partnerships in offshore wind development somewhere. The most recent one is in the UK. It's a 1,500 megawatt project that we closed the transaction. But we continue to find more projects and partnerships. My tip for everybody here is, you know what? You got to talk to everyone. If you believe that your startup or your product or your service is the one, you will find a partner. It's a numbers game. You just keep talking to Atlas, to everybody that's involved here. Thank you.
So for BAG in 6 months, we believe that with the scale of market we have, we would like to find partners, a new technology that can help our industries to help achieve the sustainability by improving the productivity or optimizing the energy efficiency. And we want to be a strategic partners or even an investor to help drive the innovation and technology to those industries to make the market adoption faster. And that's my commitment.
All right, and for PT ExpresSo, since we've begun investing, we've mostly invested internationally. That's because we were really focused mainly on the technology side. But with decarbonization, and we see more of a reason to look locally, because we realize that there's a lot of localization needed for many solutions to be effective. So in the next 6 months, we aim to really work with and get to know all the relevant startups in the carbon management and carbon abatement verticals. So if you are startups within these categories or broadly in decarbonization, we would really love to get to know you and discuss working relationships with you.
All right, thank you very much. If I were to summarize quickly in one sentence, I think super interesting panel. We probably need another 20 minutes to unpack, but I think what I heard, what we're left with is that Marty is saying we hopefully hear another announcement of a big wind park in 6 months. Nat is saying they're looking for a partner that improves their tech, energy efficiency, and productivity. I think Nick just put himself up to a lot of work. He wants to talk to all startups that are in carbon management and abatement. That's great. And then Bolong, you're saying you continue to deliver on bringing solutions to those that previously had no access. So I think there is a few commitments here. So with that, thank you very much, and back to you guys.